Hello everyone, welcome to yet again another Friday new product post where we talk about all the new products that we have here at SparkFun Electronics. Well, not all of them, just the ones that we have for this week. Things are starting to pick up a little bit more and we're starting to get more new products in, so I'm just going to jump right into it and we're going to talk about several of them today. Here we've got a lot more little connectors and switches and things like that. It's nice to see these things, in someone's hand, and I'm going to take these apart and show you how you connect wires into them and all that. And just to give you a better idea of, how these feel and how these look and how you'd use them. This is, just your basic cigarette lighter plug. So this is just the plug, has really, nothing to it other than just the plug itself. So you would use this by putting your own wire into the back of it, soldering it on there, and now you can plug your thing into the cigarette lighter in your car, get 12 volts, and power it in a car. It even has this nifty little red LED to indicate that you have power. If you're doing something, you're going to be traveling with it and you're going to have it in the car, in your vehicle, why not just put this on there rather than building a 12-volt power supply, into it. I'm going to open this up and show you what's inside and just give you an idea of how you'd connect to it. We just have this one screw here on the back. Just going to undo that. There's a nut on the other side, so that comes off. And then this unscrews here in the front. So we have, the little pin there, the little collar. And then we have this that comes off. That's very important in taking it apart. And then inside we've got this nice little fuse. 10 amps, 250 volts. So it's actually a pretty hefty duty fuse. It might be a good idea to throw a smaller fuse in here depending on what your project is, because 10 amps, that's quite a bit. And then we just pull this apart like that. And here's what it looks like. It's pretty simple. We just have these two little fins that fit these grooves. That's the outside. We have a resistor, an LED, and then you can see there's a spring inside here that goes to the fuse and the little pin at the end, and then you got a nice little strain relief thing at the end. So all you do is fish your wire through there, solder it into here, solder it into there, and then do the whole process in reverse and then put it back together, and you have a nice little car cigarette lighter adapter for your project. Moving on, we sell a lot of different things with barrel jacks on them. And this is just your basic barrel jack plug. It is the typical 5.5 millimeter by 2.1 millimeter jack that we carry, which fits pretty much every single thing in our catalog. So it comes like that, and we just unscrew this, and there you go. If you've never put one of these together before, it's pretty simple. You attach one wire to there, another wire to there, and then you actually crimp this along the wire so it has a little bit of a hold on it. And then you fish that through, and boom, there you go. You have a nice little completed connector with a barrel jack on the end. And here we've got this little guy. It's just a 6-pin connector with the mating plug. And you can see this is 2 pieces. We pull them apart, and there we go. So we've got a 6-pin panel mount connector and then the mating plug that goes with it. So it's got a nice little key to indent into there so it can only fit in one way. And when it plugs in, you've got this little ring that screws down and it actually forms this really secure connection that can't come apart. So if you have something where you have, let's say, a bunch of sensors and then the cables leading back to the data logger or whatever you're doing, you can use something like this and it won't pull out. You can use this locking ring and this connector just won't pull out of the socket if you're tugging on it or whatever. So it's a nice robust connection and you don't have to worry about wiggling loose or whatever. And so this is your panel mount guy. It's got your 6 solder cups on the back, so you just strip your wire down, put it in there, solder it on, and you're good. A little heat shrink helps because these are relatively close together. I always take the wire, strip it off, throw a thing of heat shrink on it, tin this, solder that on, put the sleeve of heat shrink down, and then heat shrink it, and you get a nice pretty connector. You've got the nut and the washer on here, so it already comes with that, which is pretty nice. So you attach that to your panel. All these pins are labeled, by the way, 1 through 6. And let me show you how to take this apart and connect a wire to it. So if you see this right here, that's what we want to take out. So just grab a screwdriver and we're going to unscrew this. This does not just pull out, it actually is notched. So if you pull at it, it will not come out. If you twist and pull, it comes right out. And you can see on the back side there's this little notch in there. So you actually kind of just twist it and then pull and it comes right out. And you can see this has little terminals on the back. They're correspondingly labeled 1 through 6, just like what's on here. You would loosen up this strain relief back here, so just, pop these open a little bit. Feed your cable through here, and then connect them into here. Put this all back together, tighten down your strain relief, and then put this screw back in, and you're good to go. So that is the 6-pin connector with panel mount and plug. This is one of those really simple products that I'm sure someone's going to be very happy that we're carrying. It's just this nice little inline on-off switch, and this is made for lamps. So what you would do is you would have, a cord running in here, a cord running out, terminate it, and then you just have a simple on-off. It's got this outer housing, and it's got the bottom housing, and the switch just pops out. It just kind of press fits in there. And you've got this nice little on-off toggle switch with these little connectors at the end. These are just solder connections. So once you get wires soldered onto that and crimped, you just take this with your wires, place it on there, and then this has these little pegs that fit into these little holes, and you just kind of press fit it on there, and then this whole thing just kind of clamps down. And there you go. You have your nice little finished switch. Has a great little clicky sound. Just a great little inline on-off switch. Pretty basic. Last up, we've got another key switch. People really liked that small key switch that we had, but the keys are a little bit flimsy and it's a little small. This one's a little bit bigger than that. This is familiar to what you'd see with like, maybe bike locks or something like that. It's got that little round circle. And these are what the keys look like. It's probably pretty familiar to most of you. And we've got these nice little lugs on the back for soldering, and it has a nice nut for securing it to a panel. This one actually has a lot nicer click feel to it than the smaller one. So if you're looking for something just a little bit more heavy duty than the small key switch that we have, check out this guy. I don't usually talk about books with the new product posts, but I thought this one was worth talking about. This is Robotics, Discover the Science and Technology of the Future. It's aimed more at kids or a younger audience, although I still find it really interesting. I think adults could even like this book too. The interesting thing about this book is it's geared more towards like science fair projects. And remember back when you were in school, you'd have all these little science fair projects and things that you do in science class. This is kind of what the book is geared towards. They talk about things like, the whole cornstarch and water in silly putty, colloidal suspensions, non-Newtonian fluids, and, as like a substitute for robot skin or something like that. And, like this is making your own solenoid from drinking straws and electrical tape. It's just kind of this neat, fun book that explores robotics in a much less serious way. It's not getting into microcontrollers. It talks about Arduino, but it's not sitting there talking about code. It's talking about the more fun stuff and the more interesting stuff. This is kind of what the book looks like. It's got a much more like fun science approach. It's something if you have a kid, you can definitely work through, some of these projects on the weekend and have a lot of fun doing them on a rainy day. Like, here's a robotic hand. So it takes the concept of a robotic hand that you'd have pieces of cardboard and you'd put pieces of string along them. By pulling the string, you pull the fingers. And then we kind of progress later in the book into actually using little syringes filled with liquid to actually do like a pneumatic hand. It's kind of more the fundamentals of robotics rather than, just jumping into servo motors and programming. It does talk about Arduino a little bit in here. Right there's the Arduino and some other stuff. So it does get into more of the technicals. But it's not a big book, and it covers a surprisingly vast amount of information. Last up, we've got this. This is Parallax's Board of Education Shield Kit for Arduino. Basically, it's just this robot that is based off of this Board of Education, as they call it, which is this thing on top here, which is a shield. Underneath here, an Arduino would actually attach underneath of this shield, and the Arduino becomes the brains for this robot. It's actually set up with 2 continuous servo motors instead of your typical drive motors, so you can get a lot more precision out of it, controlling the speed and whatnot. And it just has, this little uniball up front. The thing about this kit is it has a lot of resources and a lot of documentation behind it, and it's, you know, got a lot of lessons and other things that go along with it. And so it comes like this in a kit, but let me show you all the little bits that it comes with. Here's the wheels and the little rubber band tires and the front ball. Here's the actual base of it, which is, you know, this nice aluminum piece. I think it took me like 15 minutes to put this together. You don't actually have to solder it together. The board comes like this, already put together. We've got like the battery holder, 2 servos right there, but also comes with all these other little goodies. We've got jumper wires. You can use those with the breadboard. We've got some infrared sensors in here, and they even have like these little cones that you can do like a narrow field infrared sensor or like a wider. We've got resistors, different resistor packs, some more caps and some diodes, some more resistors. And then this is some LEDs, some buttons, and some buzzers. And then in addition, we've got these little whiskers. These whiskers attach somewhere on the front, and they become touch sensors, so when you run into something it can know and then change directions. It doesn't stop there. You have all these, kind of like our inventor's kit, you have all these little parts that you can plug in and add to the robot, and they have little lessons and code that you can download to do different experiments with this. So it's a good way to teach object avoidance, you know, line following, and all the other good stuff with robotics. Check out the Parallax Board of Education Shield for Arduino kit. There you have it, another Friday product post with a lot of new products. As always, check out the rest of the Friday new product post. We have a couple more products on there. And we will see you again next week with actually a ton more new products. We have a lot for the next couple weeks, so make sure you check out the videos next week and the week after that. See you then.